Hey everyone, I hope, hello, is the audio working?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yep.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, we're switching some stuff around, so give us one more minute. Okay, you get audio? Yep, okay. All right. So, wow, that's a full house, excellent. And Mark is here, cool. So I'm gonna share the meeting notes / agenda. Anyone want to take notes this time? Share. Not just Rob. I guess we can, Rob, you can do it today, but we should just rotate it. So everyone gets a chance to take notes. So let me share the agenda doc, and then we can start the discussion. And welcome to the December 19th, 2019 SIG-NETWORK Services Ingress API Evolution meeting. This is being recorded, so be on your best behavior. Also, Santa's watching. Let me pull up the thing.
Should I write notes in the actual agenda? Or?
Yeah. So the agenda doc has a notes section at the bottom. I think
Okay.
this is easier, then we don't have way too many notes floating around. There we go. On this thing. So. Give me a second. I'm trying to wrangle the Zoom around. Okay, so share. This desktop. Is everyone able to see this okay? Good
Yes,
I can see it and it's okay.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so you guys have been watching the repo. Basically, I added some skeletal docs to it, and this is the website. It's using GitHub pages. The reason I mentioned this is that the most important page is this one, which contains all of the Zoom meeting links. So I just wanted to check. Someone said that the Zoom meeting link was actually not correct. Is that the case?
Yes, I used that one to get in today, Bowie.
Okay, so you use the one on this page and the one on the calendar?
Yes.
Yes, calendar works.
Okay, all right, just to make sure. So this has all the basically ways to get in touch, all the meeting notes, and then all these meetings will be recorded, so it'll be all on this page. So, any information about meetings, etc., will show up here. So use this as like the source of truth for everything. So then let's click through, and here we have meeting notes for today's meeting. So just quick round of introductions, I guess. You want to go around, actually, this is going to be difficult. So basically, hi, I'm Bowie, work for Google, part of SIG-NETWORK, and then there's Mark on this side, and Rob on this side. I forget that the camera's not on a computer. And yeah, we're interested in moving the Ingress API forward. I don't know, we can go there's a good way to go around. Is there a list?
There's a list.
Okay. All right. Ben.
Hey, this is Harry. I'm one of the maintainers at Kong. Kong is one of the Ingress controllers out there.
The next one is Ben Bennett.
Hi, yeah, I'm Ben Bennett. I work for Red Hat. I'm a lead on the networking team. So.
Okay. Antonio.
I'm Antonio. I'm working in different projects in SIG-NETWORK, trying to get IPv6 and dedicating my free time to help to the SIG-NETWORK folks.
And then Sandor, I think, is that right?
Yeah, Sandor Sütsch. I'm from Zalando, and I built an Ingress controller, Cube Ingress AWS controller, and Skipper, so a two-layer load balancer.
Mm-hmm.
And external DNS, I basically designed, and some of my team members are now like maintaining it. And I want to make sure that everything works after the V2 also.
And Alex.
Hi, Alex from DataWire, mostly working on the Ambassador API gateway.
Okay. And Bruce.
Yeah, I just joined DataWire a little while ago, so I'm coming up to speed.
Cool. Dan Mace.
Hey, yeah, I'm Dan Mace. I work for Red Hat, and I work mostly on OpenShift.
Danian.
Danian Hansen with Red Hat. I work with Dan and Ben and some others that are on the call, focused on Ingress.
James, this list is actually from Muting, so I'm going to make the best of it.
Hi, I'm James. I work on Project Contour, which is an Ingress controller.
Then Nick.
I work for VMware.
And Mike.
Yeah, I'm. Oh, sorry. Do you say me, Bowie?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. I'm Nick. I also work for VMware on Contour.
So username is Kanjayar.
Yeah, hi, this is Jairam. So I'm working for Cisco CNI. It's a CNI side. So I'm part of the networking team over here. Yeah.
And Ricardo.
Hi, I'm Ricardo. I used to contribute to Ingress, Nginx Ingress also from Alejandro. And actually I contribute to the HA proxy from João, and also I'm a huge user of Ingresses and so.
Okay, cool. And Richard?
I'm Richard. I'm from DataWire. I also work on Ambassador.
And then Micah, Mike, M-I-C-I-A-H. Okay. And then anyone?
Micaiah, Dishko Masters from Red Hat, OpenShift work. Dan, Jane, Ben, Andy.
Okay. Anyone we missed?
Yep, possibly me. And
yeah.
Andrew McDermott, working at Red Hat on OpenShift.
Okay. And then anyone else? I think we got everyone, surprisingly. We were able to do it. All right. So, and just administrative announcement that we're basically flip-flopping the times. So one of them will be in the morning for, I think it's better for certain folks, and then the other time will be kind of late afternoon. So hopefully we get pretty good coverage. I think I didn't hear much in terms of people not being able to attend. Sorry, go ahead. Okay. So yeah, I didn't hear much in terms of people not being able to attend. So I think we'll try this out for the next few meetings and see how it works out. It is bi-weekly for now being December, because everyone, this is well attended, but I'm expecting that even more people might show up. And then it seems like it would likely move to weekly in January, but we have to kind of figure that out. So any sort of thoughts on the meeting times, coordination? Okay. So let's move on. So currently, you might have noticed a whole bunch of sort of commits on the API repo. So I put in brackets current scope, just kind of explain what I feel like makes sense at this time to go on in the OSS repo. So it's basically going to be mostly docs and mostly the CRD scaffolding plus validations and common utilities, and then conformance tests, but we're not there yet. So right now it's mostly taking the sketch doc and whatever comments and feedback we get on it and sort of populating it into the OSS repo as sort of API docs and the CRD scaffolding. The CRD scaffolding is really basic right now. I don't think it even has most of the fields populated. It's mostly just to try out using QBuilder to generate something. And that's something that we'll try to sort of everyone work together, put together a prototype to see if the QBuilder approach is workable. The idea is that controller authors will basically go from that, be able to vendor that stuff into their own stuff, and then connect it to their software. In that vein, let's see, maybe we can just go over what the website looks like right now. Okay, so this is hopefully what it will look like when it's all, somewhat done. Is we'll have user guides, we'll have basically an area for users, we'll have a concepts, and this is actually mostly what I'm talking about in terms of taking the sketch and kind of like putting it in doc form. I feel like the Google Docs style contribution is probably the easiest for now. So we'll keep that as the main way people can comment, because users, they may not be really adept at GitHub, and then they have to kind of navigate this repo. So we'll do that for now. As things get more settled, then we can start populating this stuff and then sort of maybe putting a note in the Google Docs saying, hey, go look at the website. Right now, the specification is what to do. And then for developers, right now, mostly it's around how to build documentation. So there's instructions here as to how to actually generate this stuff. Is that a ping on their side? No. So please take a look at all of this. Really, the current conversation is still on the sketch doc. It's just mostly taking pieces from the sketch doc and trying to populate it just to see what it looks like. Okay. Any questions on that? Thoughts? It's mostly at the documentation point right now in the discussion. Does this make
So
sense?
one question I have. So you don't define any like user story or so, like as developer I want to make my application available or so, blah blah blah.
So you might be jumping ahead, but okay. So in terms of project resources, we have the GitHub repo, we have the docs. Most important for everyone here is how to contribute. GitHub issues, I posted a few issues. I noticed that some were taken up, which is great. Right now, they're mostly administrative, but I'm sure we'll start filing like actual issues against the types and so forth. Now, going to user journeys. This is a call for contact. So we have this public doc right here. It's also linked up against, here, how to feedback. So it's here on the feedback section. It's also here in the notes. Just make it really prominent and put it in the introduction as well. And basically, this is a call to everyone to sort of populate use cases. Oh, great. Daniel's already found it. Use cases that people feel are important. Probably, as with most APIs in the design, we'll have a ton of use cases, but then as a group, we would probably winnow them down a bit to kind of make a first cut. But this is everyone on this call, and I think we should popularize it on user channels as well, because I think most people on here are developers versus users to basically collect these things. So is that what you were asking? I kind of read your mind or pretended to.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, everyone, please add to this document. Right now, I have it suggest edits only, just because sometimes there's some keyboard cat situations where people like delete massive swaths of the document. So that's the only reason why it's the suggest edits. But basically, whatever you type, we'll just hit agree, unless it's like typos, like gibberish generated by some cat or something. So this is sort of for the group. I feel like our immediate action item is to collect these. I know that all of us have lots of these things in our minds, so we just need to put it here or put a link to some material you have. But that would be great. So yes.
If you jump back to the user stories, I just kind of took a first stab at a user story or use case, excuse me. So, you and everyone else feel free to comment on it if it's not kind of what you're expecting.
I think this is good. I think that the goal here at this point is to be exhaustive in the number of use cases that we throw out. And then we can whittle them down to what we want to do, and then also discuss whether the use case is valid or whether it's written in the right way or has enough detail to be a use case.
Yeah, this is like the no limit, no self editing.
Yes.
Portion of the ideation process. So I think like we will have another community process to filter it down. So I wouldn't worry too much about that right now. Because let's get everyone kind of involved, and then we can go from there.
But I do feel like this specific example is at the right level of granularity, though, because sometimes you get ones that are too specific, and sometimes you get some that are too high level. Like I want layer 7 load balancing. So I think this is a correct level.
Does that answer your question?
Great. Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so this is sort of a call to action for everyone. And I hope everyone...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Bowie, I'm sorry. Maybe just a follow-up question to that. And I apologize if you covered it, but is a plan for these use cases to then kind of discuss them through the Google Doc, or is that going to be like a specific series of agendas for meetings, or is that still TBD?
I think the agenda for specific meetings is TBD. Probably we'll see how the conversation on Google Doc works out, and then have because usually there's like some asynchronous portion of conversations, through email and Google Doc, and then after that has gone on for probably a little bit of time, then it's most efficient to have a meeting at that point. So probably a combination of both.
Okay.
Right now, since it's December and the holidays, it's like probably we would expect it sometime mid-January, maybe early January. At least an initial conversation, probably early January. That's what I would expect.
Sounds good.
And then we would also need to make sure that this thing is sufficiently popularized and everyone has accessed it and so forth. So that's another consideration. And I'll make a note of it. So we will probably post this to other SIGs as well. Okay. Any other questions on this? Thanks for all the questions. Okay. So you guys are like so great at forecasting what's next on the agenda. So future meeting structure. So probably review use cases is one of the things we missed. So since this whole API is pretty big, we would probably expect that one is review the overall use cases after discussing them on the Google Doc and email even. Probably keeping it on the Google Doc makes it most discoverable for everyone. So I'll just make a note of that. Comment on Google Doc. And then what we would find, and this is not an exhaustive list, this is sort of like examples that are at the level that we think would make up topics, is basically we're going to have meetings that are focused deep dives on specific sets of things that we can discuss sort of in a self-contained way, because otherwise I don't think we can cover everything in one meeting, or we won't be able to get enough depth. And also the idea would be that at the end of a deep dive discussion, we would come to some level of conclusion on the topic. It might not be that it's conclusive, it might be that further discussion is needed, but at least for a given topic, we establish some points. And this will likely be scheduled based on what comes out of the use cases, and will happen in January, February, I would think. And then once at least some of these topics have been sort of like, we reach a point where we have a little bit of confidence in terms of what the basic stuff would be, then we can really go hard on sort of the implementation side and try to flesh out like a prototype. That's actually, this is totally a suggestion from my end. I'm really curious what people think of this. And these topics are not necessarily one meeting per topic. Probably you would have like 2 or 3 per meeting, just to make sure that there is sufficient room.
And these topics are also sourced from discussions that were happening at KubeCon. So this definitely isn't an exhaustive list, but in terms of the kind of atomic areas that we discussed and that could be extracted from everything else, these are at least the first few ones that came up.
Yeah, and I think I know that this is kind of in a little box here, but like really, folks, if you want to suggest topics, please comment on this and sort of like throw your stuff in here. At least these are the ones that we came up with, or we went over at the KubeCon discussion. But if you have a topic that you see that's not on here that's really important, please drop it in here.
I think one sort of question I had would be, what is the shape of the release vehicle for this, and how many release vehicles do we want to target for, right? So is it, for example, one sort of uber spec, we want to kind of engineer, spend a lot of time on it and release it, or are there things that we want to, or are we going to look at multiple releases and evolution of the spec over time? Because obviously there's a multi-year gap between, V1 and V2, right? Or, beta and V1, depending on how you look at it, right? And so I think it would be helpful up front to say, well, we want to open the floor up to iterate the Ingress spec annually, once every 5 years and once every 10 years, right? Because I think it does go to how we should be thinking about the discussion.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, at least this is my opinion, is that we do something on the cadence of monthly for the initial thing in terms of V1 alpha 1, 2, just so that we can incorporate comments quickly and have sort of discussions without necessarily locking ourselves in. Probably after a couple months, I would expect, let's just pick a random number, like let's say 6 months, and we all as a community sort of have seen a sufficient number of implementations and have sufficient confidence that we can sort of solidify around it, then we could make a proposal to take it to the beta and GA. Since this is all done as a CRD, it doesn't really have to follow, for example, Kubernetes versioning, which is an advantage. Like, we don't necessarily need to align ourselves with Kubernetes releases. Maybe when it becomes more stable, that might make more sense. But right now, we're sort of iterating outside of that. And that's sort of reflected in the fact it's a different repo and it's a CRD, not a core API. Does that answer your question? I don't know if that's very concrete. I think we'll know more once we dive into use cases and then have a couple of deep dives. Then we will know, we'll get a sense of like how fast it can go. My preference would be to go faster, smaller iterations than big bang iterations, but that's my
yeah. I think that, I mean, that aligns with sort of my view of things, at least. I just think we should document, and obviously we can always change things, but I just think it's helpful for people to understand that, okay, if we're doing a monthly release, then if the specific topic that is really important to you doesn't make it into a particular monthly release, don't fret, because there's going to be another iteration within a month.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, that's a good point. So we should definitely note that. Probably put it somewhere. Where do you think it should live? Should it live maybe here? Okay, we'll leave it somewhere in here. I think we'll add a section for either how to contribute or developer guide about the release schedule, and maybe that's where we can put it.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I mean, if you want, I mean, I'm happy to PR something in and to.
Okay, yeah, let's put it in the developer guide maybe.
Okay.
Under releases somewhere here. And then we can take the conversation to the PR.
Yeah, we could take it to the PR. Yeah.
Okay. That's. Any other comments?
Hey, this is Harry. I think it's important to call out that we are not going to follow like Kubernetes releases and things like that. But our intention is at the end to actually make this API stable enough that it is part of the core. I don't know if that's actually accurate or not. It's not something, an optional thing that other people can follow. Ingress is so popular because it's part of the Kubernetes core API or like one of the API groups, and that's why everyone has conformance with it.
Yeah, that's an important point. So it's what we're describing is basically the current thing to get it to a place where we can sort of make it more stable. We have to see in terms of the general Kubernetes project what CRDs mean vis-a-vis core groups, because from the SIG-Arch conversations, a lot of it was around how you shouldn't add to the core anymore. So anyways, we'll talk with SIG-Arch to see what that means. Like, is it an official CRD that then follows the release pattern, or maybe, yeah. So that definitely is worth a follow-up. But the intent is to be a stable portable API. So that goal is not, I think we'll also put that in here. So this is, sounds like we just need to add this as the goals. So add goals, add goals, and two goals. Okay. Any other comments?
I'm missing someone from Threat Manager. They have some piece of code that points directly to the old Ingress object. Maybe it would be nice to keep in touch with them into Slack or something like that, because it's going also to break the Threat Manager things.
Yes, that's right. So the whole point of a portable API is actually to enable like add-ons on top of it. At least that's kind of the benefit of some of these Kubernetes APIs. For example, replica set deployment and so forth, or I think people write their own like interesting deployments. So that definitely we should keep in mind. So we'll reach out to the cert manager folks as well. Cert manager. You're talking about JetStack? JetStack cert manager? Is that the one? Is it the JetStack one? Yeah.
Yeah, they actually are inside the organization. I don't think from Kubernetes, but from Slack. They are keeping tied with the API. So cluster API uses also. So it would be nice to get in touch with them.
Right. Okay. We'll reach out to them for sure.
Yeah. James Monis, the primary maintainer, he's definitely aware of what's going on in this group already.
This is one of the discussions at KubeCon about it. So
okay.
There's some involvement.
All right. We'll just make sure that they're involved. And I think it's useful as a use case. So we should definitely add it as a use case. It's an integration use case. And that's all I had for the written agenda. Now we have a couple of minutes for just opens in general. Going once, going twice. Oh, someone's calling in. Okay, so if we don't have anything, we can take it to the Slack channel. And I hope everyone has found the Slack channel, like on the call. That's I think the easiest way to communicate. I know that email is passé. It's like more formal. So, all right. Oh wait, Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what do you think for the next meeting we have, and kind of our first running meeting? What do you think we'll be discussing?
I think, well, let's see because it's the holidays, it's going to be like, let's see how much activity is on the use cases doc, and then also that's a different time zone. So like who is going to be showing up there as well, and sort of probably half like repeating this content if there's the population is significantly different, and then if it's not, then we can see like use cases and just start figuring out some of the concrete points that we would be targeting for the conversation, like the design, like, you know, use cases doc review, January, whatever, and then so forth.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Sense. But I mean, it's like, it's what? The meeting is December 28th, I forget, but
it's in that weird,
25th, so it's
in the weird time.
Yeah, yeah, so that might be have like
Christmas and New Year's, yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other comments?
I did just want to say thanks again, Bowie, for making sure that the times flip around.
Oh yeah, no problem. I think if this works out, we'll get SIG-NETWORK to flip as well. So, all right. Okay, thanks everyone for showing up, and please fill out the use case doc. All right, thank you. See you online.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.